Well, hello, welcome again to our reading of the Septuagint, and I'm reading a few chapters from the book of Genesis. We're in the middle of chapter 37, and we got up to beginning of verse 15. So this is the story of Joseph. Kahurin auton anthropos plenomenon entopedio. Erotoson de auton ho anthropos legon tzetses. Hodiapin to Adelphus mood se to. And a man found, we're not told who this man is, a man found him, that is Joseph, planomenon, from planao, this is the to cause to wander, so here him wandering entopedio, in the plain. And the man asked him from erotao, saying, Tzetses, what are you looking for? Hodiapen, and he said, I am seeking my brothers. Anangelon moi pu bosgusin. This is an aorist imperative here from Anangelo. Tell to me where they are tending the flock. Understood. Where they are shepherding, perhaps. Bosco is to tend, to feed the flocks. Apen de auto anthropos ap kasen en tuthen. Ekusaga auton legonton poru ometha es dothaim, kai eparuthe Joseph cat opisten ton adelphon autu kai huron autus en dothaim. And the man said to him, this verb is from ap iro. This is a perfect here from ap iro. Often translated, they have departed from here, they've taken off, they've departed from here, or perhaps departed thence or from here. It's a funny word here because it's a common usage of this verb. It sometimes implies the ellipsis of some such word as ship or army or something. The Hebrew word that is translated here means to tear up, and it's referring to the pulling up of tent pegs. These were nomadic people who lived in tents, so when you moved from one place to the other, you pulled up your tent pegs. So it's quite an appropriate choice for the Greek translation here from apiro. Literally, they have lifted up. We just translated, they have departed in Tuthen from here. Ekusaga, for I heard them, and we've got a verb of hearing plus the genitive, which is good Greek, and then participle agreeing with our tone. I heard them saying, let us go into, this is Dothan, which they've transliterated in this way, but it's D-O-T-H-A-N in normal translations. And Joseph went, katopisthen, literally after. The word literally means from behind, but we would just say after. The Hebrew word just means after his brothers, and found them in Dothan, that is in Dothan. Proedon de auton macrothen pro to engesai auton prosautus kai eponeruonto to apectenai auton. Epan de hekastos proston adelphon autu idu ho enu niastes ekenos erkatai. And they saw him beforehand, macrothen, from afar, that old ablative then ending, pro plus the articular infinitive for time, so before, and the subject goes into the accusative, before he drew near, from engisdo, prosautus, to them. We get this word poneruomai, which is a later word. It's in Aristotle and it's in Menander. It means to act wickedly. We've got poneros, wicked, and this is a verb formed from that. acted, and they were acting wickedly, or perhaps almost conspired here, and they were conspiring to kill him, so as to kill him, 2 plus the infinitive. Epan de hekastos prostonodelphanao to ido ho enupniastes ekenos erkotai. So each, now we get this funny use of ekastos, it's singular, but it goes with a plural verb. So it's, you take the verb first, they were saying, and then comma, each one to his brother. Behold the, now we've had the verb, now we get the first declension masculine noun, the enopniastes, the dreamer. And it's that dreamer, erkatai, is coming. Non un dute apoktenomen auton kai ripsomen auton as henoton lacon kai erumen therion poneron katephagon auton kai opsomatha ti estai ta enopnia autu. Now therefore come, hortatory subjunctive, let us kill him, and let us hurl from ripto, let us hurl him into one of the lacon, one of these vats or pits or reservoirs. The word occurs in Herodotus, it's also in Xenophon. It's used of large tanks. In Xenophon it's used of large tanks in which wine was kept. Here it's a sort of a pit or a reservoir for water. It's connected with the Latin lacus and our word lake and lacuna. So let us hurl him into one of these reservoirs, and we will say, future from Lego, it's arrow, and we will say, inverted commas, an evil beast, katephagon auton, has devoured him, from katestheo. Kaiopsomatha, and we will see what will be his dreams. So neuter plural plural verb is what we're getting here. We'll see what become of his dreams. Akusas de Ruben ex eilata auton ekton chiron auton kai apen u pataxomen auton es psuken. And Reuben, now that he is one of the brothers, in verse 26 it's Judah who suggests they don't kill Joseph, and in verse 29 it's Reuben who returns to save Joseph but finds him gone. The E strand appears to have Reuben, the J strand that I mentioned in the previous video seems to have Judah. So we get different strands intermingled here, and there's a slight variation as to who was trying to save Joseph. Anyway, here it's Reuben, having heard, ex eilato. This is from ex hyreo, and it's normally a strong aorist. We've got here a middle form, and it's a weak middle form. So normally you'd get halon is the aorist, in the middle haloman, and here we're getting a weak aorist though. So if you're looking this up, it's from ex hyreo. So he rescued, literally he took him out. So he rescued him from their hands, and he said, we will not, this is from patasso, we will not smite him, we will not strike him, es psukein, literally as far as his life. So in other words, so as to slay him. The Hebrew here has the equivalent of let us not take his nephesh, his life. And nephesh is generally translated by psuke in the Septuagint. Apen de autois Ruben me ek kee tehaima, embalati auton eston lacon tuton, ton ente eremo, kaira de me ep enenke te auto. Hopos ex eletai auton ekton kairon, kai apodo auton to patri autu. And he said to them, Reuben said to them, do not shed, from ekheo, do not shed blood. So we're getting a subjunctive here for imperative. Do not shed blood. Cast him, imperative again, into this reservoir, this pit, the one which is in the desert. But do not raise against. This is from epi-pharaoh. And the aorist of pharaoh is einenkon, the root is enink, and we're getting again may with the subjunctive here of a command. Do not raise your hand against him, and it's dative after the epi. Hoppos, now I have to understand he said this so that he might rescue, there's that ex helatai, there's that ex-hyrio again, ex-hyrio, that he might save him from their hands and might give him back to his father. Egeneto de Heineca eilthen Joseph prostus adelphus autu ex edusan ton Joseph ton kitona ton poikilon ton periauton kailabon tesauton eripsenes ton lakon hodelakos kenos hudo uk aiken. And it came to pass that Heineca, when Joseph came to his brothers, exeduced, they took off from ek duo, you've got en duo to put on, ek duo to take off, they took off from Joseph, it takes a double accusative, so they took from Joseph his kitone, his tunic, the fancy one, the poikilon one, the one which was about him, around him. And having taken him, they hurled him from Ripto into the reservoir, into the pit. And the pit was kenos, empty. It did not have any hudor water. So that confirms that this was some kind of special place where water was stored in desolate place. Well, it was a fairly desolate place. Ekathisen defagain auton kai anablepsantes tois ophthalmois edon kai du hodoi poroi Ishmaelitai erkonto ek galad kai pai cameloi auton egemon thumiamaton kai tines kai stectes eporuonto de cat agagain as igupton. And they sat down from Cathisdo, vagain arton, to eat bread, aorist infinitive from esthio, and having looked up with their eyes, Adon they saw, and behold, there were hoidoporoi, those who are going along the path, from hodos, and this poros, root of a crossing. So behold, often translated as wayfarers. So there were wayfarers, Ishmaelite wayfarers were going from Galad, that is from Gilead, and their camels, there's the word for camel, cameloi, and their camels, egemon. Now gemo is to fill up, so they were full. It's an active form here, but gemo is being used in a passive sense here, so they were perhaps loaded up with, we might say. Their camels were loaded up with, and it takes a genitive of what they're loaded up with. Thumiamatone are in the... these must be incense, I should say, is what I'm looking for. Incense. Kai retines. This is a fairly rare word. It it means resin or pine resin. The Hebrew equivalent has the word for gum. Here it's pine resin. Kai stactes, probably myrrh. This word is connected with the Greek verb stasdo, to drip. And it does occur in Theophrastus, where it refers to a kind of myrrh. So it's generally translated as myrrh. It's literally something which is dripping. So they were loaded up with incense and resin and myrrh. And they were making their way to lead it down, so to take it down from Carthago into Egypt. Apen de Iudas pros tus adelphus autu, te cresimon, ean apoktenomen ton adelphon hemon, kai krupsimon ton haima autu. Now this time it's Judah who is trying to defend Joseph. And Judah said to his brothers, what use is it, what good is it, if we might kill our brother, and we might hide from Krupto his blood? Dute apodomatha auton tois Ishmaelites tutois, kai haidekaires hemon me estosan ep auton hotiadelphos hemon kai sax hemon estin. Ekusan de hoiadelphoi autu. Behold, apodidamai can mean to sell, can just mean to hand over, often used as monetary exchange. Not clear what it is doing here. So here, let us give him, perhaps sell him, to these Ishmaelites, and and our hands. Now we get an imperative here. Estosan is the third person plural imperative from the verb to be, from Amy. These are not the classical forms. The imperative forms in the third person plural are different in Koine Greek than they are in classical Greek. So let our hands not be against him. Hoti, because he is understood our brother. Oh, there's the estin, and he is our flesh. And his brothers heard him. Again, a kuo plus the genitive. Kai pareporuonto hoi anthropoi hoi midianioi hoi emporoi kai ex elkusan kai anabibasan ton yesaf ektulaku kai apedonto ton Yosef tois Ishmaelites I kosikruson. Now here again the story is coming from different sources and it's changed a little bit. The brothers said they were going to take him out of the pit and give or possibly sell him. And now we read that the men, the Midianites, were going along, and they were Midianite emporoi, they were traders, Midianite traders, and they dragged him out. And the Anabibadza, they brought up Joseph from the pit. Now this verb here, we get a verb bibazdo, which is a funny word. It's connected etymologically with bino, so it's like anabino, to take up. And we get a reduplicated form at the beginning of the word which remains, and then we just get it augmented. So it's like a reduplicated form of bino. Anyway, they brought Joseph up from the pit, and now this one is sold. They sold Joseph to the Ishmaelites for 20, understand, pieces of gold. Now, couple of interesting things here. As I said, we have an interweaving here of two sources. The one that Joseph is sold to the Ishmaelites by his brothers, and that's from the J strand. And the other story is that the Midianite traders sell Joseph to the Ishmaelites, and that's from the East Strand. The other thing is here, the Hebrew is not gold. It's not the Hebrew word for gold. The Hebrew has silver. And the translator may have thought Hebrew silver was being used as a generic word for money, and so replaced it with the coinage, gold, of his own time. So maybe an example of the translator modernising in inverted commas, which we do get various stages in the Septuagint. Kai, and Catagagon, they brought Joseph into Egypt. And Estrep sen de Rubain epiton lakon kai uk hora ton Joseph ento lako kai di ereg sen ta himatia autu kai anastrep sen prostus adelphus autu kai apen topaidarion uk estin ego de pu porumai eti. And they led Joseph down, that's from Catago here, into Egypt. And Reuben returned, now it's back to Reuben again. Reuben returned to the pit, and he did not see Joseph in the pit. And he tore apart his garments. This is from Dia Regnumi. Regnumi is to break, and this is to break asunder, to tear asunder. And of course that was a Semitic thing to do in sense of sadness or pain and misery. You would tear your garment as a sign of your sadness. And he returned to his brothers and said, Topaidarion, the little boy, is no longer, literally is not. That is, he's not, perhaps he's not there, or probably more likely is he is dead. Ego de pu parumaeti. Where still am I to go? Now this is a deliberative subjunctive. Classical Greek you would have in the, sorry, it's a non-subjunctive form, but in classical Greek you put it in the subjunctive. The expression does appear elsewhere. It simply means what now am I going to do now? But it's literally, where am I going still? Where am I going further? And that's the next part of chapter 37.